You're still doing that online thing? My brother David's smirk cut through the air, his knife gliding effortlessly through the turkey. He wore the kind of smug confidence that only a Wall Street banker could muster. Let me guess, selling stuff on Amazon? He asked, as if that was all there was to it. I took a slow breath, reminding myself that engaging was pointless. 5 years of these digs had taught me patience, if nothing else. It's an e-commerce platform, I replied, keeping my tone calm as I reached for the mashed potatoes. We help small businesses. Oh, sweetie, my mother interrupted, her voice dripping with faux concern. Don't you think it's time to find a real job? Your cousin Jessica's firm is hiring. I'm Olivia Walker, and for the past 5 years, I've been building one of the most successful e-commerce platforms in the country. Not that my family would know that. To them, I was still the black sheep, someone who'd thrown away a promising career in finance to play on the internet. Mom, I started, but my father's hand cut through the air in a dismissive wave. Enough, Olivia. This hobby of yours has gone on long enough. You're 30 now. It's time to grow up and face the real world. The real world. As if spending 18-hour days building a business from the ground up wasn't real. As if the thousands of small businesses using my platform weren't real. As if the millions in revenue we generated weren't real. But they didn't know any of that. Years ago, I stopped sharing the details of my business with them. It became clear they didn't want to understand what I was building. To them, success was only valid with a corner office and a prestigious company name. Speaking of the real world, David interrupted. Did you hear about my latest deal? Closed it yesterday. Biggest merger in the firm's history. My mother's face lit up, and she reached across the table to squeeze his hand. That's wonderful, darling. Will this mean another promotion? I poked at my food, letting their conversation wash over me. It was always like this. David's wins celebrated. Mine brushed aside. He was following the well-trodden path, prestigious college, Wall Street job, a steady climb. I dared to do something different, and in their eyes, that made me a failure. Later, as I helped my mom with the dishes, she tried once more. Olivia, sweetheart, I'm just worried about you. All this time alone, staring at computer screens, it's not healthy. I scrubbed a dish with more force than necessary. I'm not alone, Mom. I have a team now. 20 people, actually. She paused, her dish towel frozen midair. You have employees? Yes, I replied, keeping my voice steady. We moved into a real office last month. For a second, I thought I saw a flicker of pride in her eyes, but it quickly faded. Well, that must be expensive. Are you sure you're not getting in over your head? And there it was, the familiar doubt, the assumption that I didn't know what I was doing. I stopped sharing my successes with them long ago because their response was always the same: concern, skepticism, and a thinly veiled sense of disappointment. I'm managing fine, I said, placing the last dish in the drying rack. I should get going. Early meeting tomorrow. Meeting? My father scoffed from the doorway. With your computer? I grabbed my coat and purse, biting back the urge to tell him exactly who I was meeting, one of Silicon Valley's largest venture capital firms. But what was the point? They'd already decided what my hobby was worth. The drive home gave me time to shake off the weight of their disapproval. My phone buzzed with a message from Maya, my best friend and COO. Maya, how'd the family inquisition go? I smiled despite myself. Me, same as always. David's a genius. I'm wasting my life. You know the drill. Maya, if only they knew. Can't wait to see their faces when the news hits. Ah, the news. The thing I'd been holding on to for weeks, wanting to share with my family but knowing they'd never grasp its true importance. In less than a month, Forbes was publishing an article about our company for their annual 30 Under 30 list. And it wasn't just that, they were doing a full profile on our meteoric rise in the e-commerce space. I pulled into my driveway, a sleek modern townhouse that felt worlds away from the suburban home I'd just left. Another detail I kept quiet about. They still thought I was living in my starter apartment, barely scraping by. Inside, I kicked off my heels and collapsed on the couch, opening my laptop to check the day's numbers. Even on Thanksgiving, our platform didn't rest. The dashboard showed over $500,000 in transactions processed that day alone, a slow day, given the holiday. 5 years ago, this had been nothing but a dream. I had been working 60-hour weeks at a prestigious financial firm, doing exactly what my parents wanted, but feeling utterly unfulfilled. The idea for my platform came from watching small business owners struggle with online sales. They needed something simpler, more intuitive, and more integrated than anything out there. I started building it at night, learning to code from online courses and slowly piecing together what would eventually become Walker Commerce. When I quit my job to pursue it full-time, my family thought I'd lost my mind. "She's throwing away everything she worked for," I overheard my mom telling her friends. And for what? Some website? Those early days were brutal, living off savings, working from my tiny apartment, dealing with endless technical challenges, and trying to convince potential clients. But little by little, it started working. Small businesses signed up. The platform grew. Revenue trickled in. I hired Maya first, my college roommate, who had quietly supported me all along. She left her corporate job to join me, believing in the vision even when I had my doubts. Together, we refined the platform, expanded our services, and built a real company. My phone buzzed again, a message from our lead developer about a new feature launch. I responded quickly, then saw another email from our PR team about the upcoming Forbes feature. They wanted to schedule a photo shoot next week. A photo shoot for Forbes magazine. Sometimes, it still felt unreal. The next morning, I was in the office early. As usual, the space was modern and open, with exposed brick walls and towering windows, a far cry from the corporate cubicles my family thought were the epitome of success. Our team wouldn't be in until later, but I liked these quiet moments to focus on strategy. "You're here early," Maya said, walking in with 2 cups of coffee. She handed me one, settling into the chair across from me. "Still recovering from family fun?" she asked, a knowing smile on her face. I took a grateful sip. "Just the usual drama. Dad asked if I was still doing that internet thing." Maya rolled her eyes. "As opposed to what he's doing, running the same insurance agency his father started 50 years ago?" "Hey," I protested weakly, "that's a real business, right?" She laughed. "Because helping thousands of small businesses succeed isn't real enough?" She had a point. Our platform had processed over $100 million in transactions just last month. We'd helped countless small businesses not only survive but thrive during the pandemic by giving them seamless access to online sales. Our latest valuation? Just over $500 million. But try explaining that to people who still think success means wearing a suit and sitting in endless meetings. "The Forbes piece comes out in 3 weeks, Maya reminded me. "Have you decided how you're going to tell them?" I sighed and leaned back in my chair. "I was thinking of just letting them find out when it publishes." "Is that petty? After 5 years of them dismissing everything you've built?" "No, it's not petty, it's karma." Our conversation was interrupted by the arrival of the development team, eager to showcase the latest updates to the platform. Soon, the office was buzzing with energy, designers refining user interface improvements, customer service reps helping clients optimize their stores, and the marketing team planning the next big campaign. This was my real world, a thriving business that came from nothing but an idea and relentless drive. Every person in this office believed in what we were doing. They understood the vision I had from day one. Unlike my family, none of them needed to see my name in Forbes to know that we were building something extraordinary. Later that afternoon, I had a video call with our newest board member, a seasoned tech entrepreneur who had invested in our latest funding round. "The numbers look fantastic," he said, flipping through our monthly report. "You've built something remarkable here, Olivia. Not many founders can scale this quickly while keeping the fundamentals so strong." I smiled, remembering my father's dismissive comments about my little hobby. "Thank you," I said. "We're just getting started." Indeed, the Forbes piece should give us some serious visibility. "Have you thought about how this might change things?" I had thought about it, probably more than I cared to admit. The article wouldn't just highlight our inclusion in the 30 under 30 list. It would go into detail about our growth, our valuation, and the impact we'd had on the e-commerce industry. It would lay bare everything I'd kept quiet about for years. "I'm ready for the attention," I told him. "We've got a solid PR strategy in place." What I didn't mention was that I was more worried about how my family would react than any public scrutiny. How would they handle finding out that their failing daughter had built a $500 million company right under their noses? That evening, as I worked late in my office, my phone rang. I glanced at the screen. Mom. I almost let it go to voicemail, but guilt won out. Hi, Mom. Olivia. Honey, she began, her voice adopting that careful tone she used when trying to be helpful. I've been thinking about what we talked about yesterday. Jessica's firm really would be perfect for you. They even offer great benefits. I pinched the bridge of my nose, staring at the multiple monitors on my desk, all showing our platform's real-time analytics. Over 10,000 transactions had been processed just in the time it took her to start the conversation. Mom, I appreciate the thought, but I'm not looking for a job. My business is doing well. But is it stable? Do you have health insurance? A retirement plan? These are important things, Olivia. I thought about our comprehensive benefits package, the equity we gave our employees, and the 401k matching we'd implemented last year. But explaining any of that would only lead to more questions I wasn't ready to answer. I'm fine, Mom, really. She sighed, a heavy, disappointed sound I had long since come to expect. I just don't understand why you won't consider other options. Your brother. I have to go, I interrupted, unable to take any more. I've got a call with our West Coast team. I hung up and sat in silence for a moment, looking around my office. The wall opposite my desk displayed our company's values in bold letters: innovation, integrity, impact. Beneath them were framed articles from tech publications praising our platform's innovation. None of them mattered to my family. They weren't from the Wall Street Journal or Financial Times, so they didn't count. Maya popped her head in, holding up a tablet. Final approval needed on the Forbes photoshoot location. They want to do it here in the office. Thoughts? I nodded. Makes sense. Just make sure they get shots of the team, not just me. This isn't a one-woman show. Speaking of the team, she said, settling into the chair across from me, morale is through the roof since we announced the new equity distribution. People are excited about the growth. Our latest funding round had allowed us to increase everyone's equity stakes, a move I was particularly proud of. Everyone who had helped build this company deserved to share in its success. That's great, I said, then hesitated. Maya, am I being childish about my family? Should I just tell them everything? She thought for a moment, then answered. Remember when you first started, and they told you it was just a phase? That you'd come crawling back to your real job within 6 months? I nodded. And remember when you landed your first big client, and they said it was just luck, that you couldn't build a real business on the internet? Yes. And last Thanksgiving, when your brother literally patted you on the head and suggested maybe you could help him build a website for his dog's Instagram? I laughed at the memory. Okay, I get your point. They've had 5 years to take an interest in what you're building, to ask real questions, to understand. Why did you believe in this so much when they chose not to? Maya's question lingered in the air. Let them find out with everyone else. She was right. Of course. My family's dismissal of my work wasn't just about misunderstanding, it was about disrespect. They'd decided early on that my path wasn't valid. That success only counted if it followed their predetermined script. Well, they were about to learn just how wrong they'd been. The morning the Forbes article was scheduled to go live, I sat in my office, staring at my phone. 3 weeks had passed since Thanksgiving, and my family remained blissfully unaware of what was coming. I'd declined their weekly dinner invitations, citing work commitments, which wasn't entirely untrue. Preparing for the publicity around the Forbes piece had kept us all busy. It's live, Maya announced, bursting into my office with her tablet. And it's, wow. I took the tablet from her, heart racing as I read the headline. The future of e-commerce, how Olivia Walker built a $500 million empire from her apartment. The article was everything our PR team had hoped for, and more. It detailed our company's explosive growth, our innovative approach to helping small businesses, and our impact on the e-commerce landscape. There were photos of our office, our team, and yes, and me, described as the visionary founder revolutionizing online retail. Your phone's about to blow up, Maya warned. And it did. LinkedIn messages, Twitter mentions, email alerts, text messages from friends and former colleagues. But nothing from my family. They didn't exactly follow tech news. That changed about an hour later. Olivia, my mother's voice was shrill through the phone. Why is Jessica calling me asking about you being in Forbes magazine? I took a deep breath. Because I am in Forbes. Mom, the article just came out this morning. But how? Why? What's this about a $500 million company? That would be my little hobby, I said, unable to keep the edge out of my voice. The one you and Dad have been telling me to quit for the past 5 years. Silence. Then, we're coming over to your office, right now. Mom, I have meetings. Cancel them, she interrupted. Your father and we need to see this for ourselves. I looked at my calendar, back-to-back calls with investors and partners reacting to the Forbes coverage. I can't just cancel everything. I'm running a company, remember? Please, Olivia. Her voice softened. We need to understand. I sighed, signaling to Maya through the glass wall of my office. She nodded, already guessing what was happening. Fine, come at 2. I'll have my assistant send you the address. Assistant? My mother squeaked, but I'd already hung up. Maya stuck her head in. Family drama incoming. They're coming here at 2, can you? Already rescheduling your afternoon, she finished. Want me to warn the team? I nodded. Our employees knew bits and pieces about my family situation. It was hard to hide when we all worked so closely together. Just let them know we'll have visitors. The next few hours were a blur: calls, emails, investor interest, media requests. Our PR team was fielding interview offers. Our sales team was overwhelmed with inquiries. Our servers were handling record traffic. At exactly 2 p.m., the elevator doors opened, and my parents stepped into the office. Their expressions as they took in the modern decor, the bustling workforce, the wall of press clippings were almost comical. Miss Walker, our receptionist called out, "Your parents are here." Heads turned across the office. I could feel my team watching, curious about the family they'd heard so much about. I stepped out of my office. Mom, Dad, welcome to Walker Commerce. My mother clutched her purse like a lifeline, her eyes darting. My father stood stiffly, face unreadable. This is all yours? He asked. Yes, I said simply. Would you like a tour? I led them through the office, explaining each department's function, introducing key team members. Maya joined us partway through, adding context about our growth and achievements. So when you said you had employees, my mother trailed off, watching our dev team collaborate on a new feature. We have 78 full-time employees now, I said, plus contractors and part-time staff. 78? My father's voice cracked slightly. We ended up in my office, where I gestured for them to sit. The Forbes article was still open on one of my monitors. My father's eyes locked onto it. $500 million, he said quietly. Your company is worth $500 million? As of our last valuation round. Yes, I replied, sitting behind my desk, feeling strangely calm. That was 2 months ago. Given the Forbes coverage, it's probably higher now. My mother was shaking her head slowly. But, how? When? Why didn't you tell us? When would you have listened? I asked. When I started the company, you told me I was throwing my life away. When I landed my first major clients, you said it was just luck. When I hired employees, you worried I was in over my head. We were concerned, my father said defensively. The internet, it's not stable. We wanted you to have a real career. This is a real career, Dad. Look around you. This is as real as it gets. Just then, Maya knocked and entered with a tablet. Sorry to interrupt, she said, holding it out. But you need to see this. CNBC wants to do a live interview tomorrow morning. I glanced at the email Maya was showing me. Book it, and get PR to prep a briefing. My parents watched this exchange with wide eyes, seemingly struggling to reconcile this version of me, the CEO, the decision-maker, with their image of their failing daughter. All this time, my mother said softly, when we thought you were struggling, you were building this? Yes, Mom. I leaned back in my chair. All those family dinners where you pushed job listings at me, I was already employing dozens of people. All those times you worried about my stability, I was raising millions in venture capital. All those moments you compared me to David, I was building something bigger than his entire firm. My father flinched at that. Olivia, you didn't believe in me. I finished for him. You didn't even try to understand what I was doing. You just decided I was failing because I chose a different path. That's not fair, he protested. We wanted to protect you. No, I said firmly. You wanted to control me. You wanted me to follow your definition of success. But look where I am now. I did this my way, without your support, without your approval, without your help. My mother was crying silently now, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. My father looked lost, his usual confidence shattered. I think, he said slowly, we owe you an apology. Several, actually. Maya muttered from the doorway. I can't wait for the family meeting. I shot her a look but couldn't help smiling. Why didn't you tell us? My mother asked again. About any of this? I leaned back in my chair, considering the question. Would it have changed anything? Would you have suddenly understood what I was building? Would you have stopped pushing me to get a real job? They exchanged glances, unable to answer. That's what I thought, I said. I stopped telling you about my successes because you'd already decided I was failing. Nothing I said would have changed your minds until something like this. I gestured to the Forbes article, forced you to see the truth. Just then, my phone buzzed with another notification. I have a call with Singapore in 5 minutes, I said, standing. Maya can show you out. Singapore? My father repeated, weakly. We're expanding into Asian markets, I explained. The calls with our new regional partners. My mother stood, clutching her purse. Olivia, please, can we have dinner tonight as a family? We need to talk about all this. I looked at them, really looked at them. My father, who'd spent years telling me I was wasting my potential. My mother, who'd worried I was throwing my life away. They looked smaller somehow. Their certainty about the world and their place in it, shaken. I can't tonight, I said. We're having a company celebration for the Forbes piece, but maybe this weekend. They nodded, accepting a small concession, and turned to leave. My father paused at the door. We were wrong, he said quietly, about everything. I hope you can forgive us. After they left, Maya returned to my office. Well, that was intense, she said, half laughing. I laughed, but it came out shaky. 5 years of dismissal and doubt, ended by one magazine article. Not just any article, she corrected. A Forbes profile about the $500 million company their failing daughter built while they weren't paying attention. That evening, at the company celebration, I looked around at my real family, the team that had believed in me, worked with me, helped build this dream into reality. We'd done this together, proving that success doesn't always look like what others expect it to. My phone buzzed with a text from David. Just saw the Forbes piece. Holy shit, sis, why didn't you say anything? I smiled, typing back. I've been busy with my little internet hobby. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of media appearances, speaking engagements, and endless congratulatory messages. My parents attended every interview they could find, sitting in the audience with expressions somewhere between pride and embarrassment. At the first family dinner after the Forbes reveal, the dynamic was completely different. Gone were the job suggestions and worried looks. Instead, they asked real questions about the business, actually listening to my answers. I still can't believe it, my mother said, passing the salad. All this time we thought, when you thought I was failing, I finished for her. Maybe that's the lesson here. Success doesn't always look the way you expect it to. David, who'd flown in specially for the dinner, shook his head. I feel like such an idiot. All those times I made fun of your website. You were an idiot, I agreed cheerfully, but at least you admit it now. My father cleared his throat. Olivia, I've been thinking. The agency, maybe it's time we looked at modernizing our systems. If you think your platform could help. I smiled, remembering all the times he dismissed online business as a fad. I'll have my team reach out to you next week. We have a great solution for insurance agencies. The irony wasn't lost on any of us. The daughter they thought was failing was now in a position to help modernize the family business. Later that night, as I drove home, I thought about how success is often quiet just before it becomes undeniable. For years, I'd worked in relative obscurity, building something my family couldn't understand or appreciate. But I believed in my vision, even when no one else did. My phone buzzed with a message from Maya. CNBC tomorrow morning. Ready to shock more people who underestimated you? I smiled, thinking about all the other dreamers out there facing their own doubting families, their own uphill battles. Maybe my story would help them hold on to their vision, even when everyone else called it a hobby. Because sometimes, the biggest success stories start with someone saying, "You'll never make it," and one person deciding to prove them wrong.